Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 373 for December 3rd, 2024. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, we have our third NFL head coach firing of the season, rivalry weekend, say that fast 3 times, in college football gets feisty, and Adam reviews the Hallmark Channel's new movie, Holiday Touchdown, a Chiefs love story. Oh, boy. But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table for me, as always, is my son, Adam.
That's right, everybody. Get yourself a drink and be prepared for one of the greatest cinematic achievements you'll ever watch. I'm telling you right now, we're going to talk about it later.
You emailed me about that as soon as you saw this thing.
Yep.
Well, how good this movie was.
It's a you movie. We will get there, but this is such a you movie that you were denying even trying to watch it.
I did look for it. I couldn't find it on our satellite system, so they must have shown it once. I thought maybe they'd show it over and over and over again. But
keep looking. You'll find it.
I'm sure I will. Oh, boy.
Yep.
We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. We also have timestamps down in the descriptions of both the podcast and many of our YouTube videos, so you can go right to the topics you really want to listen to. You can also find our podcast in its full audio form on our YouTube channel. Just search for The World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle @The World of Football in the YouTube search bar. You will now find over 475 videos on our YouTube channel, including Just Lying Around, the Lions versus Packers preview and recap that you guys did last week.
No, hold on. You're all over the map.
I'm sorry.
We are the upcoming. We already have the Lions versus Bears recap.
That's right.
There you go. And then we did the weekly NFL picks for Week 13. Those are all in the can. Those are ones you guys can find on the YouTube channel.
That's right.
What's coming up? We're still working on that Grey Cup travelogue. Randy has just got to record his narration.
Yep.
Otherwise, that's all we're waiting on right now, and then I'll get it done as soon as I get that from him.
I received my copy of the script from the director yesterday.
Oh, yes.
and then got around to recording.
And then we're going to record our weekly picks. We usually do them tonight after the show, but I'm pretty busy, so we're going to do that tomorrow, and it should be up Wednesday night, regardless. And then Kyle should be having a Lions versus Packers preview, maybe Wednesday, I would say. And then we'll do a recap on Friday for the Lions versus Packers. So that's everything coming, and possibly another special video, which we will probably talk about next week. It might be on the channel. We don't know. We'll figure it out. We got something coming. So this is a special one. We're gonna
actually 2 things possibly
coming.
Two things. I might.
You didn't tell me about the second.
I did not tell you about the second one.
Oh my gosh.
I'll tell you about it later.
Okay, fine. When the mics are not hot. Okay.
All right, so now let's begin our weekly tour around the world of football, and we're going to start off this week with scores from Week 13 in the NFL.
That's right, everybody. If your computer would cooperate with me, I'm trying to write notes here, and it's not working. Yeah, your mouse isn't clicking for some reason, so I can't write my timestamps down. This is terrible.
Smack it. Yeah,
Smack the mouse?
Smack. Yeah, there you go.
It's still not clicking.
Really?
This is terrible.
It always works for me. It never works for you.
Apparently not. I'm just trying to do my job here, so something is not working. All right, well, we're just going to have to wing it here.
There's a pen right there. You need some paper?
Hold on. I think I found the workaround. Your mouse isn't working, but okay.
It's a touch screen.
It's a touch screen. Is it a touch screen? Oh, yeah, it is a touch screen. But... oh, now it works. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that was great radio. I'd edit it out, but that's too much work.
Operator error is all I can say.
Anyway, we are on to the NFL scores. That's right. It was a big weekend because it was Thanksgiving weekend, which for Lions fans has been filled with turmoil and sadness and
doom and gloom.
What are you folding over there? There's so much is happening right now. Oh, you're doing notes. I'm like, yeah. What's happening? You're making a paper airplane.
I'm always ready to take some notes.
I'm unfocused. All right, guys. Thanksgiving scores. Okay. the Lions played the Bears on Thanksgiving, and the Lions got the 23-20 victory. And I'm sure everybody saw it. If you were hanging out with your family, like Dad was over at my house watching the game, and we were just flabbergasted at the way that game ended. Don't worry. We were happy the Lions got the win.
Sure.
But boy, oh boy, it was just like how did they win? It was the Bears essentially just giving that game away.
Neither team knew that the game was over when the clock ran out. Everybody's just standing around.
Everybody was just stunned.
Is that it? I didn't realize it at the time.
I did. I was just like, I can't believe that's how it ended. I'm sitting there thinking, you have 30-something seconds left. Caleb Williams takes a terrible sack, and the clock just starts running, and you're like, all right, the Bears got a timeout. How are they going to orchestrate this?
Right.
And it just, you're sitting there for 30. That was the longest 30 seconds of my life. I'm like, what's happening? Like, why aren't they calling a timeout? Even as a Lions fan, I'm like, why aren't the Bears doing anything? They're just scrambling around with like chickens with their heads cut off, and like then the next thing you know, it's 6 seconds left. They snap the ball, and you're like, well, this is it. This is the game. And incomplete, and we're happy, obviously. The Lions' first Thanksgiving win in 7 years, 8 years. Yep. So don't get me wrong. I will take that every livelong day. Then the coaching of Matt Eberflus brought into question. Who's to blame? Is it him? Is it Caleb Williams? Is it somebody else, the offensive coordinator for not getting the play in or what? Right. A lot of blame that was going around. But it's the first time in the team's 105-year history that the Bears have ended up firing a head coach. That's right. They ended up firing Eberflus the next day after he had a press conference that morning, which was the weird thing. But I think it's the fact that he doubled down on his comments about they did the right thing in that situation, that he just didn't really take any blame. He didn't say, we messed up. It's in that situation, it's what we wanted to do. This is what we were looking at. And it was never accountability. It was never any of that.
He took no responsibility for that. And it was clearly on his shoulders. Between him and the offensive coordinator who
is now promoted,
who could talk to the quarterback through the radio, nobody said, well, let's call a timeout and get the right play in there.
His rationale, even when he said, well, we were planning on calling a timeout at like 12 seconds. Well, I'm sorry, Coach. 12 seconds came and went, and I didn't see a timeout.
Yeah, they lined up, and they waited forever to snap that ball. I mean, they could have snapped it a lot sooner, even so. But
it is one of the greatest just meltdowns in NFL history. Yep. It'll go down in infamy.
Yeah. We'll be talking about this for years.
For years. Every Thanksgiving now, because now we'll always have that Lions-Steelers coin toss. We'll have Leon Lutt's fumble?
Yeah, Leon Lutt, yeah.
Yep, we'll have that fumble. Well, now we'll have the Eberflus meltdown.
Years ago, the Bears won a game on Thanksgiving Day over Detroit when they returned the opening kickoff of overtime. They returned that, and it was unbelievable.
Well, that's not as unbelievable as like some of the other stuff, like a botched coin toss, a botched end of the game scenario, or even like the fumble, touching the ball and fumbling into the end zone thing. Like that's the kind of pantheon that this meltdown is going to be. That's
true.
Up with. So
that is true.
Look, what a wild start to the Thanksgiving slate, because then you go on to the next game. And by the way, real quick, remember how last year we were dogging the Lions halftime show for just looking like they bought a bunch of igloos and stuff off Amazon? The Lions totally redeemed themselves, and I think it showed. A great stage, actually a good halftime show for a change in Detroit. So Detroit, I think that everything, the perception finally changing for the Lions, and between them already being 11-1, between getting the Thanksgiving turkey off their back,
right,
as opposed to the monkey, and just the halftime show, just like, what are they doing? Like you're an NFL team with a national stage, and this is the halftime show you put out there. And we're going to talk about halftime show again in a second, but good for the Lions. All right, the Cowboys beat the Giants 27-20. This was a game I didn't even see. We were traveling. We were ended up at family and didn't really catch this game a whole lot. But Dallas getting their first home win of the season, and the Giants getting another loss. I don't know if there's anything from this game you want to talk about. We could just move on to the third Thanksgiving game, which the Green Bay Packers defeated the Miami Dolphins 30-17. This is a game that the Dolphins trying to buck the narrative of they can't play in cold weather and all that, and they can't win against good teams, and unfortunately they lost to a good team in cold weather, and It was pretty ugly for them. And what bums me out was the Packers had a good halftime show lined up too, and nobody got to see it. They saw 9 seconds of it, I guess, on the broadcast, which is unfortunate. Like, what are you doing, NBC? So I don't know if it's more NBC to blame.
Yeah.
It was that Lindsey Sterling. I don't know if you.
I'm familiar with her.
She's great. She's a total performer. That's the kind of stuff you want on your halftime show.
But there was no stage or anything. She was just out there running around on the field with a bunch of
maybe
other
that's
people.
on the Packers. But it's like still like, wouldn't you show that? Like, like all the other halftime shows get the full treatment, but for whatever reason, NBC didn't show that. So there's a little shocking there. Maybe something will come out on why NBC didn't feature her. Like, she's a great act, and why didn't she get any attention? So it is what it is. Then we had the Black Friday game, and you want to talk about wild endings. Did you watch this game?
I saw some of it.
This finish was completely wild. Look, there were missed field goals by, I think, both teams. The Raiders had a chance to win this game. They were driving at the end to go kick a game-winning field goal, and it ended with a play that looked like it was a false start that should have called the play dead. But the ball, like the quarterback was like making more signals. They were on a silent count, so the guard touched the center to say, hey, get ready to snap the ball. The center snaps the ball. Quarterback's not even looking.
Right.
Ball hits him. Ball's live. Gets recovered by the Chiefs. And we're like, okay, is the play dead? Like, what's happening? But instead of a false start, they call it a illegal formation or illegal shift. That's what it was. They called it illegal shift, and essentially it gave the Chiefs the ball back. They kept it with the Chiefs when the one official was running onto the field like the play should be dead, and he was doing the false start. And even the player was like, I false started. And nope, it went to the Chiefs. So is this another example of collusion that the Chiefs? Yeah. So that was just a wild way to end that game. And it was just like, with 11 seconds left, the Chiefs kneel, and you're like, what just happened? The Raiders had a chance to go down and kick a field goal, and then this just another fluky win for the Chiefs on top of all their fluky wins they've been having this season. It's unbelievable. The one score, final play of the game type stuff they have been involved in all season.
Well, didn't I see one of the officials listening to something in his earphone and then saying, Taylor says that was not a false start. So maybe, because Taylor was in attendance. But of course he was.
But the Chiefs are the first team to clinch a playoff spot. We knew that we talked about the scenarios last week. There are 3 teams that could: the Lions, Bills, and Chiefs. Lions didn't didn't clinch the playoff spot yet, but the Chiefs did, and we'll talk about another one in a second. So the Sunday slate of games saw the Chargers defeat the Falcons 17-13. Kirk Cousins throwing 4 interceptions does not help your team. I mean, they lost by 4, but 4 interceptions, I think one was a pick 6, does not help your team, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, the sports talk people on the radio today when I was driving around were saying that he could be one and done in Atlanta because they've got that rookie sitting behind him learning. And
we'll see. His contract, I guess he's got a no-trade clause in his contract, so I can't just trade him. It's a 2-year contract.
Well, he might be the backup then.
Well, they'll be paying a lot of money to that backup. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see if he gets things right. They got a big game against Minnesota this week, so we'll see if that'll get him right. Because they were playing decent for a minute. Now they're 6-6, tied for the top of their division with the Buccaneers.
That'd be great if he could go beat his old team. That would really help Detroit out.
I mean, I'm rooting for you, Kirk O'Chains. How about this one? The Steelers are not known for scoring a lot of points. But how about this? They got into a shootout with the Bengals. They won 44-38. The Bengals, again, a team that scored 38 points and lost. The Bengals have just been on the wrong side of this all season long.
They just can't catch a break.
I think of all the teams that have lost by scoring 38 or more, there's like 5 or 7 games. The Bengals got 3 or 4 of them. It's just unbelievable.
They're playing good football. They're putting up points.
They're playing good offense.
But they can't win.
They're playing good offense. They have a terrible defense. And for the Steelers, Russell Wilson just giving a new dimension and life to this Steelers team. And how fun is Mike Tomlin? He also gets his 18th straight season.
Yep, never had a losing season in Pittsburgh.
And I don't feel like people talk about Mike Tomlin enough as one of the best coaches.
That's incredible.
He is, and he's a funny dude. There's a clip from the locker room where they're going into the locker room, and one of the players said, "Hey, coach, you were mic'd up this whole time?" And the coach was just like, "Shut up, get in the locker room." It was hilarious. It might be a good reason to watch that AFC North Hard Knocks, which starts tonight.
That's right, it does.
So let's see. So sorry, Bengals. Yeah, that stinks for you guys.
Yep.
The Houston Texans defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars 23-20. The big story from this game, obviously, is the hit that quarterback for the Jags, Trevor Lawrence, took from Texans linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair. Terrible. I'm sure you've seen the play.
Yeah, I did. He threw his forearm right to his head. Smashed him into the ground.
It's not a good look. You can say all day long, like, oh, he didn't have enough reaction time. The quarterback slid too late.
True.
You could maybe. I'm not saying you can maybe make that argument, but he led with his forearm.
Yeah.
And apparently he had like a metal brace or something on that forearm too, which is not nice. So he led with that forearm, and I don't know if the intent was there or not. Hard to say. Intent is such a wishy-washy thing to really, we don't know.
Yeah.
But he came out, he apologized immediately thereafter, like the next day or whatever.
But now he's been suspended for 3 games.
But yes, the NFL has suspended him for 3 games, which I think is the exact right amount. I'm okay with that. Especially after seeing an old highlight of him where he apparently choked Tom Brady.
Yeah, they're talking about that too.
So I don't know if this guy's a dirty player or not. Is it just a couple bad incidents that got caught on camera? I don't know.
I think he does have somewhat of a history of plays like this. But like you said, things happen so fast sometimes, maybe you don't intend for something to happen, but it sure looks bad when they can slow it down and show it 15 times.
And it brings up the question now, because the quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, has been known to do the whole fake a slide and then keep going. Should there be more of a penalty on an offensive player for doing that? There's this whole point of protecting them, and then if they abuse it, like, what do you expect a defender to do? A defender can only do so much. Right. I think what they need to do is, if you're going down, maybe they just got to fetal position and just immediately hit the ground. No more sliding. It's you just hit the ground. Like they have to eliminate this. If you just give yourself up completely and just hit the ground, that's it. What's the guy going to do? And if you're in the fetal position, I think you're more likely not to really, be in a very compromising position, just depending on an angle. There could be a bad angle. They need to do something too, because then also there's the plays where guys are acting like they're going to run out of bounds, and then the defender slows up, and then the guy keeps running. Like Caleb Williams tried to do during the Lions game, and everybody was like, oh, that's a dirty hit. No, he tried to go back in bounds. He was like pivoting to stay in the field of play, so that's not a dirty play.
Right.
The linebacker had no, it looked bad, but it was a clean hit.
Maybe they should let the quarterbacks raise their hand, like on a fair catch. So you raise your hand on a fair catch, then
good luck with all those bodies in the way there, though, during a play like that.
Once they get so far, if they see a guy coming, they can just stop and put their hand up, and then nobody can touch him.
I don't know. It's got to be something really.
I don't know.
It's got to be really noticeable and something that a player who is in full sprint. You're taught to be a heat-seeking missile and get to the ball. You need something that to visually say, like, okay, it's done. The guy has given himself up, and I think it's just you have to just not drop dead, but you literally have to just hit the ground, fetal position, hold the ball. That's it. Like no sliding. Get rid of the sliding.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm sure this will be a debate for years to come. We'll see what they do in the offseason too with that. All right. As my phone. Let's see. The Arizona Cardinals. Boy, what a disappointment this was, because the Cardinals were up on this game, and then the Vikings clawed back and beat the Cardinals 23-22.
I was really rooting for Arizona on that one.
Yeah, they really crapped the bed on that one. But kudos to the Vikings. As much as I hate to say it, they clawed back, and Sam Darnold did what he needed to do to help them get that win. The Colts got a win against the Patriots 25-24. The Seattle Seahawks beat the New York Jets 26-21. Aaron Rodgers threw one of the worst pick sixes I've ever seen. They call it the thick six.
That's one of the greatest Aaron Rodgers highlights I've ever seen.
The dude was 300 pounds and went 90-something yards with an interception. It was awesome.
Yeah, I heard an interview with him where about halfway to the end zone, he was going to give himself up, and his teammates would not let him stop. They're just like, keep going, keep going. But I'm tired.
Yeah, that's great. The Washington Commanders took out the Tennessee Titans 42-19. Yikes. I mean, what a show by the Commanders, showing a little bit of life. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had to go to overtime against the Carolina Panthers to get the win, 26-23. That was a tight one, but Baker was slinging it, that's for dang sure. The Los Angeles Rams got a win over the Saints, 21-14. The Philadelphia Eagles got a big road win against the Ravens, 24-19, to maybe solidify themselves as the best team in the league. Philly, hard to say, I mean, until they play the Lions, we won't know for sure, but the Lions are also banged up on defense. So I mean, there could be a case right now, as much as I also hate to say it, that the Eagles are playing really good football right now. Like, let's not make no bones about it. They are. Saquon Barkley's been playing out of his mind. And the Ravens, get this, kicker Justin Tucker, who everybody thought was an automatic, just every kick he makes is going to be good. He was like a 90% field goal kicker. To drop down to where he's been at this year has been astounding. people have been pointing to the fact that the moment he messed with Patrick Mahomes during that playoff game where Mahomes and Kelsey like threw all of the kicker's stuff out of the way in their practice area, like his field goal percentage has just dropped. So whatever Mahomes' dark magic he's has gotten to Justin Tucker, because the 7 points that Tucker missed during that game on Sunday would have helped the Ravens win that game. So look, don't get me wrong, field goal kicking matters, and we'll talk about that with the Michigan game, but you can't also blame a kicker for completely. I mean, your team, you got to go down and score touchdowns.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you're relying on field goal kick, while they're important, it can't be the reason you also just blame a team for the loss. Like, oh, it's the kicker's fault. No, you also didn't get in the end zone. So, Sunday night, what do you think of this game? The Bills beat the 49ers 35-10. Another snowy game.
Yeah.
They had to shovel out those seats.
Yep.
But the terrible news from this game is that star running back Christian McCaffrey out again, this time probably for the rest of the year. You hate to see it. You saw that leg or that tendon or muscle.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
You hate to see it.
Yeah.
So that's 2 times that the cover athlete of Madden this year has been hurt.
I didn't watch the whole game, but what little I saw, I think I saw San Francisco fumble the ball 3 different times and lose it. So they could not play in the snow.
It did look like, I mean, Buffalo just had such command in the snow, and then that Josh Allen play where he threw it to Cooper, what's his name? Amari Cooper, and then he like dished it lateraled it back, and then Josh Allen got the touchdown. So he technically threw a touchdown pass, but didn't get the catch technically on the stat sheet. So he's got a touchdown catch, but he didn't have a catch.
Right.
It's just a wild statistic. It's great.
Yeah.
I
had a note here. He had 2 passing touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, and a receiving touchdown that he threw to himself. That was the stat.
Unbelievable. Josh Allen, probably your MVP lead right now, and I'd have no problem with that if you ask me. That also helps the Bills clinch the AFC East for the 5th straight year.
Yeah.
So 2 playoff teams now, the Bills and Chiefs, locked their positions.
Yep.
And then last night, the Monday night game. Did you catch any of that? I stopped at halftime, but this game was wild. Both these teams were just slinging it. Jameis Winston just is one of my new favorite players. I mean, he's been a lot of fun to watch when he's gotten out on the field, but he has just kind of found new life and given the Browns just the new moniker of the most exciting 3-win team in the NFL. He almost hung up 500 yards passing. Yeah, he had 2 pick sixes, which stink, but 500 yards passing, and I think he threw 4 touchdowns. Jameis Winston has just been a lot of fun. His interviews, his pregame speeches, even his postgame where he talked about, God needs to, deliver him from pick sixes or something like that. He has just been media gold. But kudos to Denver too. Denver, I would not have they are a fringe playoff team right now. If not, like, they are a playoff team, and they're playing pretty good football up there in the Mile High. So, anything else from the NFL before we move on? Other than 3 teams have been eliminated from the playoffs, that being the Giants, the Raiders, and the New England Patriots. Yep. All right, well, with that, we're going to throw it over to Dad, and we're going to talk about some college football here in the States now that we're done up there in Canada.
Yeah, this was the end of the regular season, Week 14 in college football, and according to the top 12 teams here, according to the college football playoff rankings from November 26th, Oregon finished the season a perfect 12-0 with a win over Washington 49-21, and they hold on the number 1 spot in that ranking. Michigan, well, I know you watched this game.
Oh, I did. Did you watch this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If there are times when I don't root for Michigan, like maybe when they're playing Michigan State or whatever, but always root for Michigan when they're playing Ohio State.
Oh, yeah.
So they upset number 2 Ohio State 13-10. This was the 120th meeting. I think that's the oldest rivalry in all of college football here in the States. And Michigan was like a 24 and
at
a
one
half
point they were 24, and I think the line moved down to 19. I think during the week it did, but yeah, big underdogs. And I think they showed during the game, what was it? This is the first time since 1950 that an unranked Michigan team has beat a ranked Ohio State team. It felt like Michigan could take this game. Not that either team played great, but it's like Ohio State just got away from doing what they do best, which is, and they did it early on where they were throwing it to the outside, and they had a lot of speed on the outside that Michigan just couldn't match. Yeah. But it does feel like Ohio State was saying, we're tough. We're going to run it up Michigan's strength, which Michigan's strength is that defensive. That's one of the top defensive lines in the country. And they were like so bullish. I don't know if it's Ryan Day trying to prove like they're tough too, attacking that line, and they couldn't get anything. And then on top of it, they let Michigan hang around. Michigan, moved the ball down the field a couple times, got a couple field goals. And Ohio State missing field goals.
This game was 10-10 at halftime.
Yeah, it was
so only one field goal made in the second half.
Yeah, so Ohio State missing a couple of crucial field goals, which I don't think is the problem with this game. And then even Michigan gave Ohio State, which I thought was the dagger. Michigan was about to score. It was a great play-action fake. The quarterback kind of rolled out, and it looked like he just had a nice little dump off in the end zone. It looked like he had a tight end wide open. Should have hit him, but then a linebacker from Ohio State just kind of came out of nowhere, intercepted it, and I was like, well, that's probably the dagger right there. Michigan got that close to putting the game away, and Ohio State and they couldn't do anything. Ohio State gets the ball back. They didn't do anything with it. It was just so unlike Ohio State that I was flabbergasted, and Michigan ends up with the win in Columbus, their fourth straight win in the rivalry.
Year in a row, yeah.
People are stunned. Even Michigan fans are like, I didn't think we'd win, but I'll take it.
Sure. Kind of like the Lions.
Yeah, and to do that against the number 2 team in the country, a team that I think could legitimately win the national championship.
Oh, yeah.
And for a Michigan team that's been floundering all season, like they've looked okay, but then they've looked terrible.
Right.
It's just, that's the rivalry.
Yep.
You can never count a team out in a rivalry. It doesn't matter if they're number 1 in the country, number 2. It just does not matter. You throw the records out the window.
Yeah, we'll have more on rivalry weekend. I cannot say that today.
It's tough.
But
there's a lot of
let's continue.
Oh, you don't want to talk about the brawl afterward, or we're gonna roll all that?
We'll roll that in with all the other ones.
All right. Because I want to talk about. I got questions for you, but continue with the scoreboard.
Check the script. It's down a little farther.
I can't read the rest.
Number 3 Texas over number 20 Texas A&M 17-7. Number 4 Penn State over Maryland 44-7. Number 5 Notre Dame over USC 49-35. Oh, USC has not had a very good record in the Big Ten this year.
It's going to be an adjustment period for them to play Big Ten ball, I think.
Yeah. Syracuse upset number 6 Miami of Florida 42-38. Get this, number 7 Georgia over Georgia Tech 44-42 in 8 overtimes.
I watched this game.
Did you really?
I did.
I did not see this.
So I watched the end of this game. And I was like, Georgia Tech's up 17-0 at halftime. I was like, all right, so I think I watched the second half and all 8 overtimes. I'm watching the game, and my girlfriend was kind of just doing her thing, watching it in the background. I'm just like glued. And she was going to bed because it was getting late. And I was like, well, there's only a minute and a half left of the game of regulation. I'll come to bed shortly after that. And a little bit goes by, and I go in there and I go, sorry, honey, they're in overtime. I'm going to be a little bit longer. And I go back out to the living room, and I'm watching the game. They go through like 2 overtimes, and I go back in, and I'm like, sorry, honey, they're going to a 3rd overtime. She's like, what in the world? I'm like, I know, this is crazy, but I'm sure it won't take much longer. And I go back out there. I'm watching the game, and then I think by the time I went back in the bedroom, she was already like asleep, and I woke her up when I got in bed, and she goes, she's like, well, is it over? I'm like, yes, after 8 overtimes. And she's like, jeez. So it was just wild. And to me, the 8 overtimes is a little blown out of proportion because it's after the second overtime, it's just 2-point conversions back and forth. So I'm just like, is 8 overtimes really that impressive? It sounds impressive. It sounds impressive, but look, don't get me wrong. Neither of these teams, I mean, these teams were equal. It was about as equal as you could get, but Georgia, able to outlast them. It's what the good teams do. But you could just tell by that 6th, 7th, 8th overtime that those teams were gassed.
Oh yeah.
Even doing that one play, they're putting everything they can into one play to get a 2-point conversion, and it's just, man, it's like you make it, or it's just like, good Lord, what do we have to do? And it was thrilling. Don't get me wrong, but it was also I was exhausted watching. I was just like, goodness gracious, what do these teams got to do? But yeah, that was a big one. I knew you were going to bring that up, and I was like, he probably doesn't know that I watched that one.
No, I didn't. I didn't know that you watched it.
I did.
And I did not see any of this. I hardly saw any highlights of it either.
Oh.
All right, let's keep moving on here. Number 8, Tennessee over Vanderbilt, 36-23. Number 9, SMU over California, 38-6. Number 10, Indiana shut out Purdue 66-0 in the Old Oaken Bucket game. I did see this game.
I did too.
Most of this game, yes.
My girlfriend was watching, but she was like working on. She likes building Legos and stuff. So she had a set. Because she's getting all the Christmas Legos out. Okay. So she was working on that, and I'm watching the game, and I got my Indiana shirt I was wearing from cousin Nathan. Thanks, Nathan, by the way, who gave us some Indiana swag over Thanksgiving. So we got Indiana stuff.
Even though he wasn't there.
He wasn't there. I talked to him on the phone, though, Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
So excited to talk to him. We want to do an interview with Nathan at some point. We'll see how that works. Talking about Indiana's season. So maybe once they announce the playoffs or something, we can talk to him about that. But so I'm watching the game, and every time they scored, I was like, man, poor Purdue. They're just taking a beating. And my girlfriend would look up, and she'd just go, did Indiana just score again? She's like, goodness great. She'd look down for like 2 minutes, and then an interception, and she'd be like, did what just happened? I'm like, you're just missing just a shellacking. It was insane. You could tell that Indiana was like, no matter what, we're hanging out. I guess that's a big rivalry. Obviously, the Oak and Bucket. But it's like, you could tell, like, they've had years. It's like kind of like the Lions taking it out on the Cowboys. Like, they've had years of frustration that they're just like, you know what, we're just going to take this out on you guys today. And that's what they did. Good time. Good for you, Indiana.
Yeah, really. Good for them. Let's see. Number 11, Boise State over Oregon State, 34-18. And number 15, South Carolina, upset number 12, Clemson, 17-14.
Oof.
Moving on to some other scores, including upsets, shutouts, and blowouts. Number 13, Alabama over Auburn, 28-14 in the Iron Bowl. This is always a big game.
Yes, it is.
Memphis upset number 17, Tulane, 34-24.
One quick thing about that Iron Bowl game. I saw a video on Instagram where apparently somebody was showing his girlfriend that Iron Bowl game, but it was the game from years back when Auburn had that last second
return.
He played that instead, and he was like, "Oh, this is live, honey." And she's like, "What? Are you kidding me? We won!" But because they actually lost on Saturday. But
what a
I thought that
thing
was
to
funny.
do to somebody.
I thought it was kind of funny, cruel but funny.
Let's see. Number 25, Colorado shut out Oklahoma State 52-0. Number 25 in the country, Colorado. There's no chance they're going to get in the playoffs. But boy, they have made a real showing. They've had some bad losses, but to end the season with a 52-0 shutout.
Do you have a list of all the championship games that are playing next week?
I do. They're all at the very, very bottom. I threw them in at the last minute, but I didn't know if you wanted to go through.
I just want to see where. When you say very bottom, is it like at the end of the script?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Because if they're playing for that title game, and I'm not sure if they are or not at the top of my head. Let's see.
It's not the Mountain West, is it?
No, they would be the Big 12.
Oh,
so
Big
it's
12.
Iowa State, Arizona. So no. So they're not playing it. Yeah.
Okay.
Colorado's not going to be in it, but I did see that what a great job by their marketing team putting out like a packet for promoting Shador and Travis Hunter as Heisman candidates. Did you see that? They went all. It was like the movie companies putting out all the. For your consideration, please think of our film for these different categories, but it's about Shador and Travis. Like, unbelievable the marketing they're trying to do. But I think Travis Hunter is your Heisman front runner. Like no matter what.
I did see the video of Dion and his two boys for senior day or whatever walking out, and they were out to meet his ex-wife, their mother, and as soon as they got close, he just says, "Go have fun, boys," and he took off, didn't want to speak to his ex-wife. She hugged her sons, and that was pretty funny. I had to watch that 2 or 3 times because as soon as she got close, well, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Look, I don't know what Dion's future is going to be. I think it's cool that he got to have the kind of season he did with his boys.
Yep.
And we'll see what their future holds. Is Shador going to be a top NFL pick? Does Dion jump to the NFL? Does Dion stay with Colorado? There's a lot of question marks, and it's going to be entertaining, I think, this offseason to find out what happens with all of them. All those guys.
The talk of the offseason, I'm sure. All right, continuing on with some scores. Louisiana Tech shut out Kennesaw State 33-0. Florida Atlantic over Tulsa 63-16. Troy over Southern Miss 52-20. Texas Tech over West Virginia 52-15. Marshall over James Madison 35-33 in double overtime. Not as impressive as 8 overtimes, but it took a couple to win that game. Akron over Toledo 21-14 in overtime. Buffalo over Kent State, who finishes the season 0-12 by the score of 43-7. Thank goodness the Kent State season is over now, and
put them out of their misery.
They can look forward to next year.
I mean, you hope that they get some transfer portal and just flip that program around next year.
Yeah.
Like they need something to just inject some life in it. You hate to see that for those kids. It's one thing when you're a professional athlete, 0-16, 0-7. It's tough. It's tough and it sucks.
I saw a
With
graphic
these
of
kids, man.
I saw a graphic that I don't know if the NCAA posted or what, but it had all 134 FBS teams ranked from 1 to 134, and there was old Kent State at the very bottom, 134, with an 0-12 season. Oh man!
If that's real or not, I mean that's still cruel. But I mean, poor Kent State. We'll see how they do next year. That's rough.
And Western Michigan defeated Eastern Michigan 26-18. Western Michigan wins the Michigan MAC Trophy, and I think they already had it, so they're staying in Kalamazoo, I believe. But finally, they're bowl eligible with a 6-6 record.
Okay, but they lost to Central. That's why I'm surprised they got the Michigan MAC Trophy. I mean, did Central lose to?
No, I thought they
Eastern?
beat. No, that's right, they did lose.
Western lost to Central.
I don't know how that works, but
I don't know. Maybe it's the points. I don't know. It's all three teams.
Or maybe they were tied, so they get to keep it.
I don't know. But a bowl eligible Western, that's pretty great. I'm crossing my fingers for Western versus Michigan in the capital. What is it?
The one in Detroit. It's got a new name this year.
Oh, does it? Oh,
yeah.
God, I can't keep up with that crap.
It used to be the Little Caesars Pizza Bowl, and then it was the Quick Lanes
Quick
Bowl.
Lanes, that's the one I was thinking.
And it's got a new title sponsor this year. I can remember what it is.
I'm tired of that.
It's always on December 26th at Ford Field. We've been to a couple of them.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I would love to see Western get a good opponent. I mean, I'm hoping they get a good bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, Bahamas, here they come again. Who knows?
I don't know.
But all right, do you want me to take over? You've been reading a lot of scores, and you got more to
just
come.
A few more things here. I'll let you take over when we get to the FBS. In the military academies, Army finished the season. Well, they're not done yet, but they are at 10-1, and they beat the University of Texas San Antonio, the Roadrunners, by the score of 29-24. Navy is sitting at 8-3. They beat East Carolina 34-20. 20. And Air Force, sadly, is at 5-7, but they did beat San Diego State 31-20. Now let's talk about the brawls.
Oh yes, let's do that. And why don't you take it? You sound like you need to take a drink again.
The Michigan Ohio State game, everybody's aware of that. The brawl afterwards, where they tried to plant their flag on Ohio State's field.
Okay, but before we get to that, what is your stance on the planting of the flag?
I think it's pretty disrespectful, and I think there's going to be a ban on it.
Do you think they will?
I think so.
I'm torn. Well, I think it more shows like, look, if you don't want a team to plant their flag on yours, beat them during the game. Yeah. Don't make your best tough effort be after the whistle's done. After that clock hits 0, like those Ohio State guys showed more fight in that fight than during the game. And I know that's been the thing that's been going around, but it's true. I was like, it's a funny remark, but it's true. I saw Ohio State fight harder in that brawl than they did during the 4 quarters they had to beat Michigan, and they didn't do it. Yeah. And I saw players wanting to cry and be like, "Oh, we can't let them do that to us." Well, guess what? The time you had to do that was during the game. Now I think you should have to sit off to the side and watch that opposing team, if they choose to, plant that flag in the middle of your field, because that's the 4th straight year they've spanked your behind. Look, I think while it is a little disrespectful, it's like at the same time, guess what? That's your home field. Defend it. Win that game then. Because Ohio State, I remember a few years ago, did they not plant the flag in Michigan's end zone?
I think so.
Yeah. Don't go. And I don't remember any Michigan players going out and fighting them. So Ohio State, you need to just nut up and shut up. Because you guys are supposed to be the big bad wolf, and you ended up having your house blown down. Okay? So I think it's okay. I think teams just you got to just play to win the game, and don't let it get to that point then if you don't want it to happen. Like, then you have the other game. So you have, let's see.
The Big Ten Conference did fine both of the schools $100,000 each for this incident. And then
there should have got to that point.
There were 3 other games, and two of the other 3 games were because somebody tried to plant their flag on the opposing
or a trident.
Well, yes, the last one was a trident. But yeah, you had Florida State. They tried to plant their flag. Big fight came out. North Carolina State over North Carolina. Same thing. Tried to plant their flag. Arizona and Arizona State. Whichever one is the Sun Devils.
Arizona State with that trident, yeah.
Tried to put their trident in the end zone or on the logo at the center of the field. I don't know what, but that they didn't like that either. So I think because of the fact that there were 4 games like that this year, that the NCAA is going to put a ban on planting the flag on another team's field.
I hope they don't, because while it does suck to see that after the fact, that it's also what also makes these rivalries fun. Like, remember when Baker Mayfield did it? Nobody fought Baker Mayfield about it. Like, Baker Mayfield stuck a flag in Ohio State at the center of their field. I don't remember Baker getting mauled or brawled during that game, Ohio State.
Well,
But because it was Michigan.
Maybe they're still mad about it because that they didn't do anything to him back then.
Maybe not. But still, it's just like, to me, it should be. You should. It's like when in the championship game, when all that confetti is going down, and you see the players that of the losing teams just sitting there watching it. Like, let it fuel you. All right, you know what, you guys, you players who are senior or not seniors, because guess what? Those Ohio State seniors never beat Michigan. But you other underclassmen, you don't want this to happen again. Burn this into your memory, and then next year when you go to Michigan, you be the team that beats them in their house, and then you be the team to plant your. Because if Ohio State does, they're going to plant the flag, and we're going to do this all over again unless there is some sort of ban. Or they're going to find something new to do that is just as equally as, quote, disrespectful. But
well, years ago they tried to bring down the banner that the Michigan Wolverines run through.
That Go Blue.
The supporters, the team supporters, they do that banner, and they tried to pull that down when they were running out there. So that was another semi-brawl that happened a few years ago.
To me, it's
always something.
I think they could jaw, but no throwing hands, and it's like there's a way to do it, and it's college football, and the whole point of college that I think a lot of people like is the rivalry.
These guys are professionals now. They're being
they are.
They're being paid. So your mom made a good observation about, are they going to fine any of the players? And I thought, they could take away some of their NIL money. As a personal fine for somebody that throws a punch or something like that. Hadn't really thought about that.
Because I watched a couple of the video. One of my favorite videos I found was there was a couple of people who videoed that whole scrum from inside the scrum, and one of the Ohio State staffers was yelling at one of the Michigan guys. And this is the fun part where they're just like, have fun at the Bahamas Bowl. And I'm just like, that's great. That's all it should be. It should be throwing hands, and one of the players for Ohio State was being a big crybaby, like, we can't let him do this. We can't let him disrespect us like this. It's like, oh my God.
So you're saying it's okay for them to verbally abuse their opponent, but not to throw a punch?
Yes. Welcome to college sports, where verbal abuse is fine. Just don't throw hands. You can stitch that and hang it up on the wall. I don't care.
Okay.
That's my philosophy.
In another story, former Indianapolis Colts quarterback Andrew Luck has been named the general manager of the Stanford football team. I didn't know they had a general manager.
I did a double take when I saw that headline. I was like, general manager?
I think they created
this is
that
college.
position just for
general
him.
Manager of what?
Well, Luck graduated from Stanford in 2012, and he's going to oversee the Cardinal football program, including working with Coach Taylor on recruiting and roster management, as well as fundraising, alumni relations, sponsorship, student athlete support, and stadium experience. So it's like a catch-all.
Well, isn't that what athletic director? Isn't that essentially what an athletic director does without the title? Like, the title dumbfounds me.
I don't know. But they're calling it GM.
Oh my God!
I don't know if other teams, other schools are going to follow suit.
This is one of those bar trivia things. Who was the first college football general manager?
Oh, he was also the last. That was Andrew Luck back in 2025.
There you go. That's 10 points for Randy and the Memphis Snowboats.
Why? Thank you.
That would be his bar trivia team name. I guarantee you, everybody.
All right. Okay, do you want to take over and read the FCS
Yes, I will take over
division?
for you because you've been talking so much.
Okay.
All right, in the FCS, that's playoff time for them right now. Round 1, Lehigh upset number 9 Richmond 20-16. Number 10 Rhode Island over Central Connecticut State 21-17. Number 11 Villanova over Eastern Kentucky 22-17. Number 12 Illinois State over Southeast Montana State 35-27. Number 13 Tarleton State over Drake 43-29. Drake can't catch a break. Number 14 Montana over Tennessee State 41-27. Number 15 Abilene Christian shut out Northern Arizona 24-0. And UT Martin upset number 16 New Hampshire 41-10. All right, and then we're going to move on to Division 2. It was the second round of their playoffs. Ferris State from right here in Michigan, about an hour and a half north of here. They defeated Central Oklahoma 78-17. Way to embarrass them, boys. California of Pennsylvania over Ashland 34-33. That's a squeaker. Virginia Union took care of Lenore Rhine 44-12. Minnesota State upset CSU Pueblo, the Thunderwolves, 26-23.
I had to throw that name in there.
That's a cool nickname.
I've never heard of Colorado State University at Pueblo, and when I found out their nickname was the Thunderwolves, I said, I got to mention
Does that not sound like an arena football name?
They had the Thunder Bears in the Arena Football League, but now you got the Thunderwolves.
I like that.
And their logo is pretty cool, too.
Sweet, I'll have to look that up.
We should get a couple of shirts.
Oh, there you go. Hey, Thunderwolves, hook us up. Slippery Rock defeated Kutztown. I never know how to say that. 25-24 in overtime. Harding upset Grand Valley State, also from right here in Michigan, 44-26. Sorry, Lakers. Valdosta State over Miles.
Valdosta.
Hey, stop cutting in and take a break. 33-17. And I almost wanted to say Jumanji State, but it's Bemidji State upset Western Colorado 20-16. Are you taking over? Or are you done?
Yeah, I can do some Division III scores. This was round 2 in the Division III playoffs. It was DePaul over Maryville of Tennessee, 45-20. Cortland over Endicott, 17-9. Mount Union over John Carroll, 42-7. Hope over Aurora, 49-21. Johns Hopkins over Grove City, 17-14. Carnegie Mellon over Center, 24-15. Randolph-Macon over Washington and Jefferson, 38-22. Salisbury over Kings of Pennsylvania, 33-13. I want a Salisbury steak now. Susquehanna over Hobart, 42-35. Springfield over UMass Dartmouth, 54-27. Bethel of Minnesota over Lake Forest, 48-21. Mary Hardin Baylor over Hardin Simmons, 17-13.
I hardly know any of these schools.
I know. Many I recognize, but some of them are brand new to me. But that's good. That's good for Division III. Let's see, where was I? St. John's of Minnesota over Wisconsin Lacrosse, 24-13.
See, now that's just unfair. A football team beating a lacrosse team is just terrible.
Okay.
These are the jokes.
North Central of Illinois over Whitworth, 42-17. Linfield over Texas Lutheran, 65-3, and Wartburg over Wisconsin Platteville, 19-14. And then finally, in the NAIA playoffs, this is round 2 also. Georgetown of Kentucky over St. Thomas of Florida, 27-21. Indiana Wesleyan over Southwestern, 24-13. Kaiser of Florida over Pikeville of Kentucky, 56-21. Morningside of Iowa shut out Mid-America Nazarene, 35-0. Grandview over Friends of Kansas, 21-17. Montana Western over Dickinson State of North Dakota, 41-14. Benedictine of Kansas over Texas Wesleyan, 42-33. And finally, Northwestern of Iowa over Montana Tech, 32-29.
Oof, what a scoreboard.
And then, well, this is all playoffs. Normally we just do 3 random scores, but I figured it's playoff time. Let's read them all because that's all we've got. And, yeah, there's a bunch of them. So it'll be less as the weeks go along. So each one of these is going to be cut in half next week. And then finally, in the junior college level, there was no action at all this week. They've got some games coming up, and bowl games and playoffs, but that'll start week after next.
All right.
Or next week, I guess.
We have, as of an hour ago, our Western Michigan have announced what bowl game they're playing.
Oh, good. I was looking for that today.
All right. It sounds like the Western Michigan Broncos are heading to Montgomery, Alabama for the Salute to Vets Bowl. Salute to Veterans Bowl. They will be taking on South Alabama on Saturday, December 14th at 9 p.m. on ESPN.
Wow. Good for them.
There you go.
Good. I'm just glad they didn't get the Idaho Potato Bowl again because
it's
so cold and snowy. That's not a bowl game. That's an endurance test for anybody to go up there and play in the snow.
Yeah.
You want a nice bowl somewhere in Florida, somewhere down south, Arizona, L.A., whatever. Those are bowl games.
Yep.
Let's see. Okay. Is that it for the scores?
That should be it. Yep.
Okay. So now it's time to check in with our friend Greg at Gridiron Japan.
And now we're off across the Pacific, where our man in Japan, Greg St. James, has all the news from the land of the rising sun.
From the Gridiron Japan News Desk, this is Greg St. James with your week in X League play. This week we had 2 games in the X League, and specifically we had the play-in games for the X1 area teams two of the top X1 area teams squared off against the bottom two of the X League Super. Specifically, Fujifilm Minerva and the All Mitsubishi Lions placed last in their respective divisions. Each went up against their counterpart in the X1 area, the division winners with the X1 area. So in the first game, we had Fujifilm Minerva winning 20-17 over the Tenai Deers. Fujifilm being an X League X1 Super. I apologize. I know it's hard, but that's how they here in Japan, the X League has titled their respective leagues and divisions. It's a mouthful. So we had the Fujifilm Minerva 20-17 over the Tenai Deers. And then we had the All Mitsubishi Lions, who came in last in their respective division in the Super, winning 44-17 over the Dentsu Caterpillars, who placed first in their respective division in the area league. So what that means is neither the Tenai Deers nor the Dentsu Caterpillars gets promoted up to the Super League, and the Fujifilm Minerva and the All Mitsubishi Lions do not get relegated down to the area. We have one final play-in game coming up on December 15th, and that is the As One Black Eagles, an area team, versus the Pleiades Suns, a super team. Not really a super team, but they're in the Super League. They've been completely winless ever since they have been playing in the X League Super Division, which is the top conference. So anyway, they'll be squaring off on December 15th to see who gets promoted, who gets relegated, or whether they just stay in their respective leagues and divisions. And then also on December 17th, we have the Koshin Bowl, which is the College Football National Championship here in Japan. That is played at Koshin Stadium in Kobe. And Koshin Stadium, for those who don't know or don't know anything about this game, this is the oldest college football national championship, I believe, in the world. And the reason why I say that is the Koshin Bowl has been going on close to 80 years. I think this might be the 78th iteration of the Koshin Bowl. And every year, the universities that play football here in Japan, there aren't many, but there's a handful, they play for the right to play in the Koshin Bowl. This year, we have the Hosei University Orange going up against the Ritsumikian it's a mouthful. Ritsumikian University Panthers, and they will be playing also on December 15th, again, at the Koshin Bowl at Koshin Stadium, which is a baseball park. My first year in Japan, actually 2 years ago, I attended my first American football game here in Japan, going to see the Koshin Bowl in Kobe with my wife and my brother-in-law. They were surprisingly very cheap tickets to get. It was very old school. It reminded me, for those of you who listen to the show and who have ever might have attended a football game in a baseball ballpark, well, it's exactly like you remember, because the sight lines were horrible, but it was a good crowd. Even for December, it wasn't that cold. Turned out to be a good game. So anyway, with all that said, guys, listen, I'm going to sign off here. Again, this is Greg St. James with Gridiron Japan, and if you want to learn more about the Gridiron game here in Japan, you can go to gridironjapan.jp. I have yet to update the website with highlights from last week's playoff games in X1 Super, and we have the semifinals in X1 Super coming up this month for the right to play in the Rice Bowl for the Pro Football Championship of Japan. So, hey, with all that said, Randy, Adam, great to see your Lions kicking butt. And you know what? The Bears should have won that game, but it just tells you a lot that the Lions are definitely going to be Super Bowl bound when they win games like that against a team who, it's my hometown team. So I hold no ill will towards the Lions. In fact, I'm a huge Lions supporter myself. So I'm hoping they go all the way. All right. Well, listen, hey, I am like 5 minutes into this. I will turn the show back over to you. We'll be talking to you hopefully next week. More scores. Again, gridironjapan.jp, and hopefully we'll have a podcast episode out by the end of this week. Feel free to give us a listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. As always, I'm looking forward to hearing some college football coverage maybe next week from Greg over in Japan.
Hey, whatever gets him to keep sending us stuff, so you can keep using that great intro we do for him.
Oh,
I love that. That's one of my favorite things we've done.
It is. I want to change it a little bit, but I like it the way it is.
Why mess with perfection?
Next year we'll try something different.
Shut your mouth.
All right. So now we're back in the States to talk about more happenings in the world of football. Going up to the CFL, now we're up in Canada.
Yeah.
But Mark Killam, age 45, has been hired as the new head coach of the Edmonton Elks. He was the Calgary Stampeders special teams coordinator ever since 2010, so he's been there a long time. And he was also the assistant head coach of the team since 2019. He is the 25th head coach in franchise history, so good luck to him. Hopefully he can get the best out of Trey Ford and keep him there. I think he and his brother are both free agents. Maybe they can get both of them there on the team next year. That'd be kind of cool, I think. But I posted a thing about some of the top 10 free agents in the CFL. But good luck to Mark Killam.
Yep.
Okay, in the National Arena League, this just came out this morning. The Harrisburg Stampede have announced that they are ceasing operations effective immediately. They just said it just wasn't viable for them to compete financially. There's just so many money problems that they just couldn't do it anymore.
You suck to see that. It sucks to see this, but it's a all too common occurrence in these smaller leagues.
Yep.
And it makes you also think about those players, the other members of that organization that have been working hard, and then just to all of a sudden get that email or that phone call or to find your key card doesn't work to the offices. Like, it stinks. It really does.
Well, and I was looking for some information on this ceasing of operations, and so I put in, I Googled Harrisburg Stampede cease operations, and I found stuff going back 5-10 years ago that they have shut down many times before this. In fact, they just came back last year after shutting down for a few years. They came back last year, played in the National Arena League, and now they've ceased operations again.
And I guess this blindsided the league, and now they're going to have to adjust their schedule again. So we'll be waiting to see what they do with that.
They say they're still going to have 10 teams, but according to what I had, I keep a spreadsheet every year of who's in what league. They kind of switch around. But according to the spreadsheet I put together, they're down to 9 teams now. So maybe I missed one. I don't know.
It's happened. You miss a lot with your spreadsheets. Let's just be honest about it.
Spreadsheets don't lie. I'm sorry.
Yours do sometimes.
All right. Finally, today we've got some birthdays and anniversaries for December 3rd.
Okay.
Excuse me. Born on this date in 1922, and Tom Fears, who passed away in 2000 at the age of 77. He played his college football at Santa Clara and UCLA, was selected in the 11th round of the 1945 NFL Draft by the Cleveland Rams. He played 9 NFL seasons, all of them with the Rams, from 1948 to 1956. I think there was some military time in there that he'd spent. He won an NFL title with the Rams in 1951. He was the first Mexican-born player ever drafted by an NFL team. He holds that distinction. He went on to be the head coach of the New Orleans Saints from 1967. I didn't put the end date to 1970 something. and then he was the head coach of the WFL's Southern California Sun from 1974 to 1975, and he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1970. Another birthday today, Billings.
Your best friend.
Billings Outlaws owner Stephen Titus. He has reached the age of Nunya, which is none your business. But his team won the Arena Bowl 33 title last year. I got to interview him a couple of times.
Yeah, we all know he's your best friend.
Yeah, I got a few.
Randy doesn't shut up about him.
But I see that they've got some new T-shirts on their website for their championship.
Let me guess, you already hit him up?
No, I'm gonna order one. But,
you're gonna do it the proper way.
They look pretty cool. Yes, I'll actually throw down some money on that.
Not looking for a handout.
No, with all the money I spent at the Grey Cup on souvenirs, I can spend some money on it.
That was Canadian money. That doesn't even count.
Well, that's true. Let's see. And also, on this date in 1985, the Chicago Bears released the Super Bowl Shuffle, and I uploaded that already to our Facebook and Twitter pages.
I saw you put that out. Why would
I was watching it?
Kick the Bears fans while they're down, Randy. Hey, you guys remember when you were good and were winning Super Bowls, but instead your coach can't call a timeout with the last 30 seconds left in the game? You guys remember those days? Yeah, that's what I thought. Kick them while they're down.
That wasn't the intention, but hey, if it works out.
I think unintentional, but I think somewhere deep in the back of that Honolulu blue heart, you knew what you were doing.
Maybe I did. I don't know.
I think you did.
All right, let's go on to some obituaries. This is where we take a moment to honor those who've made the world of football a better place. Our first obituary is that of Bill Battle, a college football head coach for 7 seasons, has passed away at the age of 82.
Great name, by the way.
Yeah,
Bill Battle.
Bill Battle played college football at Alabama and won a national championship with the team in 1961. Battle began coaching as a graduate assistant at Oklahoma in 1963 and then went on to be an assistant coach at Army in 1964 and 1965. He became the head coach of the Tennessee Volunteers in 1970 at the age of 28. He coached the team in Tennessee from 1970 to 1976, leading the team to 5 bowl games and a 55-22 record. Battle was inducted into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame in 2011.
All right, our next obituary is that of Ernie McMillan, a tackle in the NFL for 15 seasons, has passed away at the age of 86. McMillan played college football at Illinois and was selected in the 13th round of the 1961 NFL Draft by the St. Louis Cardinals. He was also selected in the 29th round of the 1961 American Football League Draft by the Boston Patriots. McMillan signed with the Cardinals, where he then played from 1961 to 1974. He finished his playing career with the Green Bay Packers in 1975.
Our final obituary this week is that of Dale Hamer, a referee in the NFL for, I didn't even put how many seasons that was.
Way to botch that one, too.
But he's passed away at the age of 87. Hamer began working NFL games in 1978. He officiated over 400 games on the field, including 20 playoff games and 2 Super Bowls. In 2002, he transferred to the replay booth, working over 180 more games. He was the president of the NFL Referees Association from 1996 to 1999. Hamer is a member of the Western chapter of the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame and the Pennsylvania State Sports Hall of Fame.
Right on.
All right, finally, our upcoming events. Tonight, December 3rd, the Hard Knocks show in season with the AFC North premieres on HBO and Max. You going to watch that first episode?
I probably won't watch it tonight live. I'll probably try to catch it at some point this week before we come back next week and see if it's worth checking out or not.
Okay. Yeah, you've been looking forward to it more than I have.
I'm very curious, especially now with all the developments that have happened between the Steelers and then Jameis Winston now just being a human soundbite. And obviously, I really like Mike Tomlin. I think he'll just be if they got him mic'd up, I can't wait what kind of funny things he's got to say.
Well, the first episode we'll probably be talking about how they all got to where they are right now.
Probably.
It's like a review of each one of their seasons. Yeah, and then next week it might be,
We'll see. We'll see what the format is. It'll be curious because, a few years ago they did the 2 teams during training camp, the Chargers and Rams. Juggling 2 teams was interesting for Hard Knocks. But now to have to juggle 4 teams in a division race, which is actually pretty tight, between 4 very entertaining teams for different reasons. I don't know. We'll see. I'll at least give the first episode a try. But none of these in-season Hard Knocks have worked for me.
No, I haven't. I've watched hardly any. Maybe one episode.
I think we're so inundated with up-to-date, weekly recaps of games and stuff. Right. It's like I've known about this for weeks because they're going to be a week or 2 behind. I'm not sure exactly their timeline, but it's like I've known about this. Other than watching the cool NFL films footage of maybe that snow game in Cleveland between the Browns and Steelers.
Maybe some scenes or some angles you haven't seen before.
Yeah, other than that, I'm is it really going to do enough for me to be I have to lock in every week? I'll at least give it the first episode for this one. They've at least hooked me that way.
Yep. But on a related note, the McRib is also back today.
Oh, my God. Randy's already posted on social media.
Snagged one.
I'm surprised he didn't get one and to eat it in front of me today. Or to hear you all, so you all could hear him chomping on it during the show.
I might go get another one tonight.
Oh, my God.
But I'm definitely going on Thursday with my Toastmasters
You need
buddy.
to go to McRibs Anonymous, sir, because your addiction is deplorable at best.
Hey, I can stop anytime I want.
You clearly can't because
Anytime they pull it off the menus when I stop.
You're the #1 internet user when it comes to McRibFinder.com. Like, it is embarrassing. The amount I think you post more pictures of the McRib than you do your own children. It is sad. You are a sad, strange man.
You might be right.
I know I'm right.
All right, let's see. Monday, December 9th, the Simpsons Football Fun Day game, the Monday Night Football game between the Bengals and the Cowboys on Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and NFL Plus.
We don't know if it's NFL Plus or not. You keep putting it there. I don't think it is.
They put it out there somewhere, so I don't know. But anyway,
are you going to be watching
I'll
with a McRib in hand?
I don't know if I'll watch. I'm sure I'll check out some highlights. You know, they always make a big deal after the game of showing all these things that they did during the game. We'll see. I don't know.
I'm going to try. I mean, it stinks that it's Monday night, so like, I don't want to stay up late. Like
Yeah.
when it was like a Sunday afternoon game, like I was like, okay, I could do this. But
Yeah,
like
the
a
last
Monday
time
night
when
like,
they did the Nickelodeon thing, or no, that was the Toy Story.
the Toy Story game,
That was a Sunday game.
it was in London.
From
So
London.
it was like 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
in the morning.
9 o'clock to noon, and that's when you got to see it. So the kids were all there for that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. Saturday, December 14th, the 125th playing of the Army-Navy game at Northwest Stadium, home of the NFL's Washington Commanders. Friday and Saturday, December 20 and 21, the 12-team college football playoffs begin. January 20th, that's a Monday night, the College Football National Championship game in Atlanta. That's going to be on ESPN. And about 2 months away from now, the Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans.
Now, I really quick want to throw out, you have this on here. I want to go through all the different championship games we got coming up this weekend that everybody should check out.
Sure.
Friday, December 6th, you're going to have Western Kentucky taking on Jacksonville State for the CUSA Championship.
Conference USA.
Yep, Conference USA. That'll be 7 p.m. on CBS Sportsnet. Go find it. UNLV will take on Boise State for the Mountain West Championship. That's 8 p.m. on Fox, also that Friday, December 6th. And the third and final game on that Friday, Tulane versus Army in the AAC Championship, 8 p.m. on ABC. Set your DVRs if you got to pick between those two games at 8 o'clock. Then Saturday, here we go, the full gamut of a bunch of great games. Your Big 12 Championship at noon on ABC. We'll see Iowa State taking on Arizona State. Which of these teams sneak into the playoff? Iowa State was kind of that front runner all year, but Arizona State's come on strong at the end of the year. I'm very curious to see if Arizona State sneaks in. Ohio will take on Miami for the MAC Championship at noon on ESPN, right here in our own backyard at Ford Field.
Yep.
Jackson State takes on Southern, which is an HBCU SWAC Championship game. That's at 2 p.m. on ESPN2. Georgia plays Texas for the SEC Championship at 4 o'clock on ABC. This is a rematch from earlier this year where Texas got embarrassed by Georgia. I will see if Texas can get some revenge, or is Georgia going to, or does Georgia drop into their third loss of the season? I forget how many losses Georgia's got. But it'll be very interesting. It's going to throw a whole wrench into the college football bracket. For the Sun Belt Championship, Marshall takes on Louisiana. That'll be at 7:30 p.m. on ESPN that Saturday. Penn State versus Oregon, the Big Ten Championship at 8 p.m. on CBS.
That's going to be a good game.
That should be interesting. Two different styles of play. I've liked Penn State, but they've always kind of been that team that's always been kind of left out of that Big Ten Championship, out of the big game at the end, the playoff for years.
Right.
Now they're finally got a chance. They're at the doorstep. Can they close it out?
And that's going to be in Indianapolis, isn't it?
Down in Indianapolis, yep.
Big
One of
Ten
these years
Championship.
we got to go to a Big Ten Championship game, regardless of what teams are in it. I think we just need to go to experience a Big Ten Championship game.
Maybe.
Put it in the list for next year.
Okay.
8 p.m. on CBS. Then your ACC Championship game, also at 8 p.m. on ABC, will be Clemson versus SMU. Will SMU shock the world and punch their ticket to the playoff? We shall find out. Next week, we're going to have a lot to talk about. The bracket will be set. The final rankings will be in, and we can finally talk legitimately about what this initial 12-team playoff will look like. And, yep.
I know you'll be rooting for chaos in every one of those games.
Absolutely, I will be rooting for chaos. Are you kidding me?
Maybe a national championship between SMU and Louisiana.
Anything can happen. If you get into the dance, anything can happen. And that's all I ask for is get into the dance and let's have some crazy stuff happen. And we can break it down. We'll talk about the playoff and what scenarios we could see happening once the bracket's set.
Right.
So that'll be next week, and looking forward to that already.
Okay. All right. Anything else before we call this a show?
Should be good, sir.
All right. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can follow The World of Football on Facebook, X, and Instagram, where the address for all three of those is TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast to hear us on whatever Alexa device you may have. You can also find the full audio version of this show on our YouTube page. Just enter The World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle @TheWorldOfFootball in that YouTube search bar. So please spread the word, subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation.
And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us guys sitting here in Kalamazoo talking about football. Until next time, when we'll try and do a better job. Yeah, right. I'm Randy Snow.
We started off pretty sluggish this show, but I think we ended it strong.
Really?
I think we did. I thought we closed out on a strong note.
My voice is dying, but
I could tell.
I don't know what it is.
You were passionate this episode, and you read a lot of scores.
Yeah. Oh, and you never did review the Hallmark movie.
You didn't put it in the script.
Oh, that's right. I didn't, did I?
What? Okay, so here we go. End of the podcast. You get your review.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, here we go, guys. So, it's okay. I have notes.
Okay.
I have notes, Randy. Why didn't you put this into the show?
I should have. I forgot.
This is
I
what
put
a
it in the
blunder.
opening.
I spoke too soon, saying we finished strong. All right, here we go. So here's my notes from. It's a typical Hallmark movie. Everybody, we all know how it's going to play out. But Randy, if I said the word magic hat, what would you think?
Harry Potter?
Well, no, but there's a magic hat in this movie. So
I see.
The plot revolves around a family who runs a Kansas City, apparel shop in Kansas City, and their family has this magical hat that's been in there, that's connected these two sides of the family for a long time. And I think you'd appreciate, because they mention a municipal stadium and how these two families met in their seats, and then their children got married, and then they've carried on the tradition, and they've got two different stores that they run. You're already nodding off, but I know you'd be glued to the TV if you watched it. A few cameos in it. Trent Green makes a cameo. Some current players make a cameo too. Andy Reid might make a cameo.
Oh.
Taylor Swift does not. So spoiler, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce don't.
Maybe
but
I will watch it.
But you know who steals the show? Donna freaking Kelce steals the show. When
really?
she pops up, and she is just the sweetest lady, and every time she's on screen, you cheer. Let's see. So the plot revolves around the director of fan engagement having to they have 3 contestants for the Fan of the Year contest for the Chiefs. And one of them is that family, their little store, and their story about their magic hat.
It's not the guy that robbed banks in the wolf costume?
No.
That super fan for the Chiefs?
No, but the Chiefs mascot also has a cameo, which is pretty great in this as well.
Okay.
But so he goes, first he's like, I guess, new to the team, or he doesn't really get out much. So his coworker's like, oh, well, you should go out and just experience the city. You've never had Kansas City barbecue? Go out and try it. So, through circumstance, he meets the girl. They hit it off. But then, he comes to find out that, oh, this is the family I have to go interview. So then it gets a little weird. Then he finds out about the hat, blah, blah, blah. Stuff happens. So here's the 3. So there's that family. That's one of the contests. One family that always has like a light up yard for the Chiefs. And somebody or an animal, a pet, named Patrick Mahomes, which is a cat dressed like Patrick Mahomes. And I was like, this is a Randy movie for sure. And Patrick Mahomes makes a cameo, and it is beautiful. Thank you, Patrick Mahomes. Look, it's not going to change your life. It's not as bad as you'd think, but it's as cheesy as you would think. There were times where I had to do the hurl, like the meet cute, they slightly grazed hands, and the Christmas magic's gonna save their relationship or whatever. It's just, look, it's schlocky, but I think if you're a football fan, there's no better Hallmark movie for you. It's not as bad as it could be. And unfortunately, there's a preview for a new Hallmark movie that comes out next week.
About the Detroit Lions this
no,
time?
But if this were about the Detroit Lions, I think you'd care a lot more.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
really do. And it would be one of your favorite football movies of
I'd
all
be buying
time.
it on DVD.
If you swap out Chiefs for Lions, it would be one of your favorite movies of all time. But you just gotta, it's Chiefs. I actually think you would be entertained by it. I actually would recommend it to people. As cheesy and schlocky as it is, get your beer, get your wine, get your favorite lady or man, what have you, and sit down and watch it. It's under 2 hours, and just have fun with it. We were making fun of it. We were doing the typical thing, and it was a lot of fun. And now my girlfriend's talking about watching the next week's Hallmark movie, which is like a play on like the Da Vinci Code, but with Christmas. And it looks cheesy and it's just as bad, but here we are. I guess we're a Hallmark family now.
Well, there was another I think it was a Hallmark movie where it was about, I forget the name of the movie, but it was about a quarterback that got injured, and he has to hire a personal assistant to do everything for him, and they fall in love or something like that. And there's been a couple that have been football themed. You know who loves these Hallmark movies?
Who?
Your Uncle Bob.
Oh, yeah, this is right up his alley.
He's a big Hallmark.
This is right up his alley.
He's seen just about all of them.
He'll tell you too that this is the greatest thing he's ever watched, Randy.
I am going to call him as soon as we're done here and see if he watched it and what.
If not, both of you should find it, and I want reviews from both of you. I think this is you roll your eyes, but I guarantee you'll admit that you actually kind of like it. I really think that this is up your alley.
Was there a lot of Chiefs like jerseys and
hats
and everybody
all over?
Wearing...
Donna Kelsey even wears her signed Travis Kelsey. They never acknowledge it that she's Travis's mom, but she's sitting there wearing a shirt, and if you look at the jersey, it actually says "Love you, Mom," like written like that he signed it. And she even wears the Chiefs Eagles jersey that she wore at the Super Bowl. Yeah. So
I thought that was in the Hall of Fame.
I don't know, but she was wearing it during this movie. But look, like I said, it's a Hallmark movie. Don't expect Martin Scorsese cinema, but this is definitely up. If Randy can go and watch CW shows and tell me how good that is, this is your bar. This is your type of thing.
Last night was the series finale of Superman and Lois.
We'll talk about it off air.
Excellent.
Excellent? Okay,
it was
good.
excellent episode.
I have to catch up on the
Great
whole
way to finish this
I love that show.
Only 4 years.
But we're here to talk football, and we probably should wrap it up because we're at an hour and 16 now.
All right.
Sorry for the late end. Yeah, thanks, Randy, for not budgeting time for me to go off on my Hallmark review.
Well, we would have been at this point anyway. Even
Maybe.
You might have spent more time on it. All right. Anyway, I'm Randy Snow.
And I gave my full review of a Hallmark movie.
Maybe we'll see you all next week. I don't know if we're going to get canceled after this.
This had more endings than a Lord of the Rings movie.